Hey, how are you, Susan?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm in there. A lot of research lately, a lot of different things working on. So this is class 3 of course 5 plus, which is called Initiation to Metaphysics. However, we were talking about something very interesting that I think we should open up the class with that.
Okay.
Okay, it all started that I had a student here, and he speaks Spanish, and I had to regress him and work with him because of a problem, and it's too difficult for me to do the Spanish. So I thought that I would change him over to you, since you're Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
No,
speak-
I'm not Spanish, but yeah.
Oh,
I
you're
speak
not?
Spanish, no.
Oh,
Gringa.
oh, Garcia comes from what?
The married name.
Oh, I see. But you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably speak, yeah. So you would probably speak it better than I could. I speak some Spanish, but it's really Portuguese with an accent. Change the accent a little bit.
Right.
And so we started talking a little bit about regressions and stuff like that. And since you're interested in it, and I know that you're going to be doing EFT professionally,
Mm-hmm.
and I have combined the EFT with the regressions. So it might be a good thing for us to discuss a little bit here back and forth. And I'm also doing a lot of research on that right now, and also working with some students on that. So what have you got to say to that?
It sounds great. I've never been regressed. I know about it, but, no, it's
Right.
be
Well, I'm not going to
interesting see how it
regress you now.
I know.
But, okay. Now, let's start at the beginning.
Mhm.
All right, this path that we are walking, I call it the path of hidden knowledge. That's the name of my work, path of hidden knowledge. And the technique is called aggressive non-resistance. We're not going to go into that right now, it's a little complex, but so in walking this path, it's really the path in life, your path in life. In life, I believe, not everybody believes this, but I believe that all that life is for is a path for you to get certain lessons. So when you go to, later you're going to go to other planets, you know, there's thousands, millions of planets up there. You think they were the only ones that are here with our little cares and troubles? Yeah, there's all kinds of things over there. And I think once we drop the body, we're going to go over there and join the hierarchy. The good people that keep everything balanced in the universe. So, in walking this path, there is the history of walking this path, which is an ancient history. It's a history full of allegories, symbols, like the symbols of the alchemists, the symbols of the mystics, the symbols of the Rosicrucians, and all of these things. Now, a lot of people today, I've investigated all of this stuff. A lot of people today, they want the easy way out.
Mhm.
So they work with magic. Now, magic is very alluring and it's very good to sell to make dollars. But you don't need to go all the way back to old systems of paths, old paths, to attain your spirituality. On the contrary, it is easier to follow the modern ways of looking at it. We now know through psychology and through a few people that delved into both camps, like Carl Jung, we know that there's two approaches to this thing. Now so the present approach is dealing with repressed emotions and what I call lies. And when these lies exist, you can't see yourself the way you are. Now, when you get close to who you are, your whole life changes. I'm sure there's even more that I've experienced, but the whole life changes. It's like you lose a lot of the fear. Everything seems okay. Every moment is okay. You don't have to worry about getting the next dollar. Things just seem to come. I don't understand myself. Because my first transformation was, I think it was 25 years ago, something like that. And all I can tell you is, it was rough. For me, it was rough. I'd been going through that portal from the present life into this other spiritual aspect of myself. That's called the portal or the threshold, or there are many names for it. The portal is good enough. And everybody that in that passing of the threshold, the ancients used to call it the experience of the terror at the threshold. Now, it's good to know about the history, but when you say terror at the threshold, for years I lived with, terrified, where is this thing, the terror at the threshold? And I was going through it, and I didn't even know it. It all started around 16 years of age. And now I know, now I can see that what psychologists and psychiatrists, who are also asleep, most of them, not all of them, like in everything else. You go there and you tell them, well, doctor, I'm having a problem, I'm terrified, I can't sleep, blah, blah, blah. She says, well, you talk a little bit, he gives you a few little pills, green, red pills, and that you take. And when you take those things, what happens is you no longer see what was bugging you, but then you don't get the lesson either. You just go into limbo. So all you're doing is postponing this passage. And of course, not all fears are the fears of self-confrontation. They do have something to do with it. Like somebody's afraid to drive a car for various reasons. It might be a psychological one. It might be having to do with the fear at the threshold. But it always boils down, all of it boils down to confronting yourself as you are. Because in order to confront yourself as you really are, the spiritual being that you are, you have to get rid of all of these lies and the wallpaper that's covering the real person. And it's not comfortable, because you see a lot of things about yourself. The beautiful thing about it is you get into the habit of, when something happens in that moment you deal with it. You look at it, say, I did that. Was that cool or not cool to do? You're really in total communication with yourself. Perhaps not at the beginning of the path, but later, probably after you've experienced some of the path, some of the fears in the path. But that's all it is just the confrontation. Now, here's the beautiful thing that you should know. It is not the confrontation itself which is uncomfortable. The real fear is what you imagine might occur.
And that might not even occur.
I know, because I went through it. It wouldn't occur if you weren't imagining that. Let me give you the anatomy of what we're talking about. We're talking about the trip on the path, the good things and the uncomfortable things about it. Do you feel okay? Or is it too warm in here?
No, it's fine.
Okay, yeah. I always get a little warm, but. So what did I just say?
You're gonna give me the anatomy of the path.
Yeah, the anatomy. The majority of human beings, they live life the way it was lived by their parents. For some reason, every time we do this with you, I lose my voice. What are you doing to me?
I make you talk too much.
So they live pretty much the way life has been lived, you know. You don't question anything, you just do whatever your parents did or whatever society does. I know Dr. Nathaniel Brandon made a quote, a paragraph on that in his book about, I think it was his connection with the Ayn Rand, I don't remember exactly, but I used that quote in course 5A. And he, of course, being a psychotherapist, a scientist, and one of the best, was a very, very good quote. You know, he's saying, really, people live by rote. You know, whatever it is, they don't take charge of anything. So, you know, they live, they procreate, they get old, and then they catch some bug and they die. That's it. Now, same thing happens to the people on the path, but at least we have a little bit more direction. We enjoy it more because we have begun to experience a little bit of self-determinism. Now, my theory is, and I can't prove it, that this self-determinism is absolutely necessary as a spiritual being when you leave the body and you go in a different state of existence. You want to maintain that self-determinism. One thing that turns me off about death is the thought that you conk out and then you forget who you were. What a drag. I mean, what good is it? Then life has no purpose. If you look at it this way materialistically, life is a bummer. It has no purpose whatsoever. What, just make a little money, go on a few vacations, have lots of lovers, look good and all of that. And then, you know, you get old and you don't look good anymore and you don't care about dressing anymore and then your body gets weaker. It doesn't make sense. So some things you don't have to prove. Or, as long as you can prove them to yourself, that's good enough. Like I said before, science proves things to others, which is a good thing in itself. But in metaphysical science, in spiritual science, you only concerned with your own life. You prove things to yourself. So, if and when you drop the body, maybe by the time you get old, maybe we'll have already biological immortality. It's coming very fast. Tell you the truth, I don't find too much romance in it. It loses the romance.
Right.
But anyway, whatever. All I know is that if you have attained a certain amount of knowledge as to who you are and having self-determinism, you're no longer afraid of death. It's from the research I've done on myself, it's actually a pleasant experience. So this is the work that I've been engaged in for many years, even actually before I started doing these courses. But when I wrote these books, the stuff was already there, boiling, ready to come out. And now I'm teaching it, you know, and working with people that want to achieve that self-determinism. And I'm enjoying it. But now, one of the ways, now we're going to talk about techniques of achieving this on the path. There's several organizations nowadays, if you pay them enough, they will regress you and work with you and all of this. Now in your case, for example, you're doing EFT, and me too, and I do regressions also. Although I don't use regressions unless it's something physical, because EFT helps the physical things also, but it takes longer. And with the regression, sometimes, due to the fact that the injured part of the body has a memory, the cells of that injured part have a memory. And if you can contact that memory, you actually see the circumstances under which you could have hurt that area of the body, or you can relive it, and you can actually prove this to yourself. It's very simple. If you have some part of your body that doesn't bother you a lot, but once in a while it bothers you, or you remember you fell down and hurt yourself, if you go back, if you relax and just go back and feel the original pain, you feel the original pain. You're falling off the bicycle, you hit the head on the ground, oh my God, I'm feeling it now, oh, I'm feeling it. It'll heat up, you actually feel the whole pain, and then it's gone. And I'll give you a nice little trick to do. Next time you accidentally hit your head, which I do all the time outside, it's all scratched over here, because I'm thinking and looking at the flowers and the what is it, the bougainvillea,
Bougainvillea,
with the needles
yes.
my scalp. So when next time you bump your head or you hurt or something that hurts,
Right.
people, oh, you know, they run away from it. Oh my God, oh, I got to rub something up. Don't do that. Try this experiment. Let me make an example with this. I hit my crazy bone right here. Oh! The minute you do that, become totally aware and take the arm, the part that was hit, and put it right back to the part of the thing that you hit against. The minute you do that, the pain comes back and the memory is strong, and then it stops. You do it.
I will try.
Now, if for some reason you can't put the injured part of the body in contact with the thing that you hit, you can also just imagine the impact. In that moment, oh, it hurts a little bit and it comes back. That is the principle of start diving into these layers of emotions. That's the same principle.
Do you think it's being aware, it being in the now, sort of being aware of what, really just looking at, like you said, what is, and just look at it and say, okay, that happened. It's sort of you let it go.
And
It's
more
a
than
release,
that,
it's a release of,
what you're doing is you are going through with it. You're not running away from
Right.
the pain. Oh, hit my, oh, man,
I
you
don't
called
want
your,
to hurt
oh,
you.
Johnny, hit my other, you could get that stuff to rub on it. No, you didn't do that. That's running away from it. I hit my head, oh, it hurts. I admit it hurts, but I'm here reliving it. I'm here, right here. I'm not running away from it. Therefore, the dog doesn't chase you. If a dog is barking at you and you run, he's going to chase you. So that's the whole principle on this whole thing. Now, I think life itself, the way we're living it now, is wrong. It's 95% lies. I used to say less,
yeah.
but now
Your
I'm
number's
up
wrong.
to about 95% lies. It doesn't make sense now that I have I can look at it a little bit more. So, because of all of these lies, our heads and the part of the mind, the part of the subconscious that you probably read in the magnetism lessons, it's called remember we have the three minds, the magnetic mind, the genetic mind, and the traumatic mind. I just gave it those names. Those are inventions of mine, but they're there. And the traumatic mind is part of the subconscious. Let's say that this is the subconscious. It is a top of mind which is everywhere. It is the mind of the universal beingness. It's a smooth beingness, as isness. Unfortunately, or fortunately, does not have syllogistical reasoning. In other words, it cannot reason inductively and deductively. Whereas the average everyday mind, the mind that we're using right now, the reasoning mind is syllogistical in its reasoning. It's inductive and deductive. I can go inductive, I can go into finding the cause, or I can go from the cause to effect, which is the deductive. This may have been explained with different words, but it boils down to the same thing. So, now the subconscious mind, which is in all the cells of your body. Subconsciousness is there. It's everywhere. It only has deductive reasoning. Like a child has mostly deductive reasoning. So, Mommy, blah, 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 and Mommy says, yeah, Johnny, do this, and then you're going to get a good result. And he does it. He only does what he's told. He doesn't have the ability yet to look in and out. He's mostly, actually, a child is mostly controlled by the subconscious mind, which is the mind of the being, the true, real being. But because it only reasons deductively, and it has this tremendous ability to record everything that happens. This subconscious mind holds memories of thousands of years ago. So, it reasoned deductively only. So, all the lies that you were told, I remember the lies I was told. I mean, I was born on an island full of tradition. Oh my God, it took me thousands of dollars just of regressions to eliminate some of the fear of things like the devil and the saints, you know. Oh my God, incredible. So the subconscious mind on it is this a part of it, let's say, right here. That part of the subconscious is the part of the subconscious which is full of memories of trauma. You fell, it made a recording. You were lied to, it made a recording. Your mother beat you up, it's a recording. Your boyfriend left you. All of these emotions are there. And we were taught, which is a big lie, from the beginning, to run from it. If our parents had told us, oh, John, you hit your head, okay, put your mind on it. So be quiet, relax, don't move, feel it. Oh, yeah, keep feeling it, that's it. Oh, it's okay, it's gone. That's the way it works. So, because we were not told these things, I feel that it's my duty, my job, to tell people about this. They don't know. I mean, I can't believe it. I'm lucky because my father initiated me at the age of 6 years old, and he was into this, and he taught me a lot of this stuff. So, the traumatic mind. So here we are in present time. We need to go into here. That's when we start doing the regression, is to relax the body enough to go into an alpha state. You remember we did learn how to get into the alpha state. You can use that system if you want. After that, you just once you've been in the alpha state a few times, you know how to will it. It's like between sleeping and wakefulness. And you go into that, and when you get into, it's also explained in the magnetism lessons. When you get into that, it's like you now are going to take a look. Let's say that this is the depth, this is the subconscious, and this is the conscious mind over here. This is the, oh, these are your little seats. This conscious mind is here. So, I say, relax now, that's it, close your eyes, get yourself into a alpha state. So peaceful, so good. Peace, breathe deep. Now, if a person is full of conditioning, lies, emotional pain, they can't even get to the alpha state. You know that, don't you? Because the minute you start telling them, relax, relax, there's a resistance. They resist. So little by little, you have to get them to go through. So let's say that you went from your conscious mind, totally awake, into relaxation, and now in an alpha state. Now in that alpha state, you are now able to pull from the bed. Let's say there's a bed down here full of these experiences, like your boyfriend left you and you had a fight with your mother and all of these emotions in there. Now you need, using you're in the subconscious state, alpha state, and now you start pulling up these emotions. First comes the emotions of, let's say, fear. Oh, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. So you take a look at it. Well, actually, what you're afraid is what you've been told. That's a lie itself. You've been told to fear. So you fear, and you're creating the fear. Let's say another easier thing, like the emotion of rejection. Everybody has that. It interferes with life. Oh, they cry, because sometimes it lasts for years. And then people develop sickness in the body because of that. That book I told you about, she had a tumor the size of a basketball, and they were ready to operate, take her insides out. She says, no, no, no. She was already a seminar leader, but she wasn't into the metaphysical aspect of it. And she did it in 6 weeks.
By regressing?
Yeah. But she did it herself. Now she teaches it and does it, but she actually did it herself. With the help of some friends and some people that already know about it. And that is, I'm experimenting with her system now a little bit, and I'm actually getting good results. This is very nice, very good. So anyway, you go through these layers. Let's say the rejection is here. Then you go into, let's say, sadness. And then you go into loneliness. So you have all of these layers, all of these emotions, negative emotions. So you handle the rejection, and then you don't feel rejected anymore. It's okay, you can think about it and you don't cringe.
Right.
There's no charge on it. No, you go into loneliness. So you take one at a time as they show up. Then loneliness produces longing. So you experience the longing. Then you eliminate the longing. Then longing eliminates, longing brings up anger. So you eliminate that. So you keep each thing that you eliminate keeps bringing something else up. Then you reach a point where you are then ready, you're getting closer to really seeing who you truly are. And most people have no trouble at all. They go through all of those emotions with no terror at the threshold, as they say, no difficulties. It's a little uncomfortable. Now, if you are of a very intelligent, sensitive nature, like one of my students right now in Europe, he's having a hard time. The guy is brilliant. Just brilliant. So brilliant, in fact, that he can create anything he wants and sees it. And that's the way I was. Took me a long, long time. And you actually begin to feel different. There's no question about it. You feel different. As I'm telling you this, I just asked myself, you saw me hesitate for a moment? I was saying, gee, I wonder if there's something I don't know about. Maybe I'm talking too big, too much. And the feeling was, well, I am here. This is the way it is. After that, those experiences I had, my life changed. The health is better. All of these things. So, in your EFT, I can show you how to combine the EFT with a regressing technique. And I'm not going to show it to you right now because I need to do a little bit more research on it. See if I can get results faster. So I'm working on that right now. Then I can teach you to put it together. And man, you can help a lot of people.
Now, do you recommend the regression for physical pain, or just if they get stuck with the EFT's not working?
The emotions, I would just work with the
EFT.
EFT. But if he comes to you because he's got a problem with his lumboses, or he's got a problem with his foot is twisted and it gives him a lot of pain, probably should regress him. The reason I mentioned foot is because during what I was experiencing in the first transformation, I got this awful pain on my right foot, and then I didn't run away this time, but I was almost getting up and running away. I thought I was going to die, as a matter of fact.
So you just, with the pain in your foot, you just noticed it, looked at it, just
Yeah, I
okay,
just felt it,
feelings.
whatever. Look, I'm sick of this. Been like this. It's all right to die. I don't want to die, but it's okay. And then this thought came in that my aunt had been present at my birth. I was born at home. I was actually born in a school for the blind on the island.
And your uncle was born, right?
Right, you read my autobiography, yeah. My uncle was the teacher, my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
He was blind from the age of 2.5. And I remember, there's a thought, she told me that she was at my birth and that my foot was a little crooked, and the doctor, the bastard, tried to straighten it out. That was not what I experienced the whole night. I mean, before that I was sweating and the fear doing its thing. There was nothing to fear. It's just what was there I had to confront. And the last thing was the pain in the foot. And I thought, oh yeah, that's an experience of birth. I accepted it. I think I may have visualized the process of being born, and the pain went away and never came back. Other little pains come back, but not that one. And So he has a problem with his foot. I think probably you could use regression because after he's well relaxed, rested, and it's another thing that they don't bother asking you. If you took alcohol the night before, you can't get to the. No, that's not true. Because I had experiences in the alpha state, very heavy experiences. And they weren't imagination. Not because I was drunk or anything, because I never went to bed drunk. But I had a couple of beers sometimes. And I was talking to people. But it's best to not have the person drink alcohol the day before during regressions. And if a person is on a medication, sometimes the medication, I don't know which medications are which, but some medications interfere with your ability to see mental image pictures. So you want to keep that in your notes for your own research. Because everybody that does these things, there's no book you can read and learn how to do it.
Right.
I recommended these two books, but there's not too much on that stuff. And so your own research is what it's going to teach you. But keep notes, and if he's having trouble visualizing, you ask him, are you taking any medication? Ask the name of the medication. But then again, everybody's different. I had a student, I wish he'd come back. The guy was so much fun to work with. Brilliant. He commands thousands of dollars every year. The guy makes a tremendous amount of money. He's one of these people who goes into a situation and he looks over the situation and he comes up with an answer. They pay him thousands. And he couldn't visualize. He said, look at my hand. Can you look at my hand? Okay, close your eyes and see my hand. See it? No, not really. I work with them for so long to get to visualize. But that takes a long time. So I found that out through this research I did, that it takes a long time. Always keep notes and have a file, and you put the notes on each student, each client there, so you can look at it. So, you know for a fact, after you do this experiment by concentrating on a certain part of the body, and the body responds and lets you feel the pain again, that will prove to you that the cells in that part of the body have memory. And the idea is to try to get the person relaxed enough where he can start seeing pictures that the cells have of that condition. I did this last night, and I had a tremendous experience. It was really beautiful, but I can't tell you what it is. And
so what you're doing is letting the cells respond to you, give you what's going on.
yeah, and that way that happens is you get a picture. And she says to you, oh, I got a picture, it's just my imagination. Oh, yeah? In which case, I have them define imagination. This is very important to know in the process of regression. For example, could you define to me right now, or let's take a look at this definition together. How would you define imagination?
Imagination is a mental image or a mental idea that hasn't been brought to reality. That would be what
Well, let's get into the anatomy of imagination.
okay.
What takes place?
A thought.
Let's say, give me an example of imagination.
Okay, I'm thinking of what I'm going to do on my trip that is planned to Africa.
Okay.
I'm imagining
What do you imagine?
me going out on the African bush and camping and going
That's
and seeing
what
all
you're
the,
imagining.
yeah,
Okay.
so I'm seeing
Now-
the animals and imagining the tent we're gonna sleep in.
Okay. Now keep looking
Mhm.
at that
Mhm.
and tell me what is happening. I mean, how? How does that happen? You see an elephant.
Uh-huh.
How does that happen? There's no elephant inside your mind.
I would say it's the subconscious bringing back a memory of something. I mean, have you seen an elephant on TV or do you not, or an elephant you saw it as a
Okay.
or something like that?
So, imagination begins
Mhm.
with copies of the physical universe. Right?
Mhm.
That's what the mind is, by the way. It's just an ability to retain pictures of the physical universe
Mhm.
mixed with the five senses. That's all it is. So you take that, you take those pictures. You had how old were you when you first saw an elephant or a picture of an elephant?
I have no idea, probably
Whatever.
four, yeah,
Four,
four, I'll
okay,
say.
right? You saw a picture of an elephant,
Mhm.
and you kept that picture in mind, right?
Mhm.
Now, that was in the past.
Right.
Now, in the present, you have a picture of an elephant, don't you?
Mhm.
Very good. Now, imagination is when you go into the future. It hasn't happened yet. You have the ability to put what you have now, which is that elephant, into a time frame, which is the future, and you imagine, you put yourself on top of that elephant.
Mhm.
And you put that elephant on top of a train with you on top of the elephant.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no limit you can do with the imagination. Now, some people have sensitive imagination, and some people have a difficulty with the imagination. They don't teach these things. Children should learn that to do that. They do it
Yes.
anyway.
Yeah.
But nobody teaches anything. All they teach in the schools is how to make money.
Yeah, it's natural for children, but you lose it because it's drilled out of you. Most people.
Yeah.
In
But
school.
you see what's happening? You go to college for what? Unless you go for art. I must say, I went to college for music, and I learned some good things about art. Yeah, you need a master with you, teaching you how do you do this. And maybe some other subjects that require a certain mastery. But the majority of the things that you learn in school are geared only to help you make money. And the obsession with money comes out of fear. Do you see that?
Mhm.
Or am I crazy?
No, it's
It basically comes out of fear. You don't want to die. Look, if you're drowning and I jump in to save you, you better not do. I jump in to save you and you grab me and now I can't swim and we both drown.
right.
The fear of dying is so strong that's how some people become actually very suppressive. Like in the jungle, they eat before they get eaten.
Mm.
It's incredible. That survival instinct, that's the black part of existence. That's what they call in alchemy negrid or something like that. I think Jung talks about it. I have to do some research in this in Jung, Carl Jung.
Yeah.
And so, all of this concern, gotta live, gotta have a family, gotta this. That's fine. It's wonderful. But it's an obsession. I gotta have it. And when you gotta have it, you're resisting something. That's why my system, I give it a name which I'm very, I like it a lot. Aggressive non-resistance, which means I'm not going to take your crap. No, but I'm not going to do anything to resist you. I'm here looking at you. That itself, being there, that is an aggression. Aggression doesn't mean necessarily that I want to hit you.
Right.
I'm here.
So
I am
you're
in charge. I'm in control here. Now, I'm not going to resist, you know. Supposing I say something you don't like. Well, you have every right not to like it. So what am I going to do? Resist that? No, you should like it because I say so?
just okay, look at it, let it go, right?
Yeah. So, where was I? So we have this imagination, and you can imagine we were in the process of looking at pictures, right? Yeah. So the difficult thing is they'll start looking at, meaning they're in the alpha state. They can hear, and then say, well, I may just be imagining this. I said that myself. I may just be imagining that. That's, and the operator would say, oh, okay, go ahead and imagine it. Or do whatever you want. But then it would change, it would become interesting. It becomes like real, and you have nothing else better to do than to just talk about it. What the hell difference does it make?
Right.
If it helps you fix your knee or your foot, who cares?
Yeah.
So it begins with, they'll say to you, well, I'm just imagining. Do you want me to imagine something? Whatever. Get any mental image pictures? Well, I got a mental image picture of my chickens back in Madeira where I was born, but this has nothing to do with my foot. I said, oh, okay. We always agree. Oh, okay. So take a look at it. What else do you see besides the chickens? Well, there's a wire with a sticking out, and every time I go by it, I stick it in my foot. Damn those chickens. So that's the way it happens. You're not able to remember birth, but you can see mental image pictures of it. Because before you were born, when you were in your mother's belly, the brain wasn't there yet. You haven't had any sensations yet. And the brain is made by the fact that the baby is now outside of the mother, is an independent entity, and the first sense he probably experiences is going to the mother, start sucking, and the warmth and all of that, some touch is probably the first sense. And that these senses add up, and that's what creates a brain. A part of the body, which is called a brain, is dysfunction of the senses creates this matter, which is called the brain. And now the brain is like a computer. It holds memories and image pictures, like you put on a CD, same thing. So you're going into all of this, even if you're looking sometimes into your brain, trying to find these pictures. And consciously, you don't even know that they're there. And then the picture comes because the foot starts telling you, starts showing pictures. The cells start communicating to you. They don't communicate, say, hi, Susie, I'm your cell. Not like that. You just get image pictures. And you do the best you can with it. See? So,
Do you find that sometimes it doesn't necessarily make sense, but it works anyway? Like it's not,
yeah,
Yeah.
make a note of it. Sure.
but it actually releases.
This is, everybody's in the process of learning right now, even the best tappers right now.
It's evolving, yeah.
I don't know, I was invited to get get a certificate and all. I didn't bother with that stuff. I didn't know for that stuff anymore. If I had to do it over again, I wouldn't even go to college. I would just, in fact, if I had had a teacher, right, a master from the very beginning, I probably wouldn't have done the stupidities I did with what I did to the hand, the accident, and all of that. So go ahead.
No, it was,
Yeah, you take notes of things
Yeah.
that you've discovered. I would use EFT first just to get them comfortable, and then run maybe a couple of sequences on the pain. If he's with the pain, see if the pain is going down. You could ask him little trick questions like, what do you think could have caused that? He says, I don't know, it's been here all these years. Well, what do you think? What comes to your mind when I ask you that? Sometimes I have them tap, and while tapping, they're looking at the thing. They're not saying anything. They're just looking at the thing. I'll make a little movie out of it. Well, I was on a bicycle, and I fell. Then the thing where the handle goes in, the handle wasn't there. It was something like a nail, and the nail went into my hand. You go like that, and he can speak it out loud or not. She can do it that way. But some physical things, if they don't respond right away, I'm pretty sure they're in past lives. I had a girl here who had cancer. Brilliant, beautiful girl. And she had difficulties with her marriage. And so she went into two past lives at the same time.
oh,
And she said, oh, this guy, blah, blah, blah. And she told me the whole story. That son of a bitch. And God damn it, man. And she threw herself on the ground and started hitting the floor. She was mad. And I'm behind her tapping. That's it. Don't leave me. Keep doing it. Okay, that's fine. Keep looking. And she says, oh, that son of a bitch. He's no good anyway. And he got it. She got upset down the chair.
wow.
And apparently she didn't have that much trouble after that.
Hmm.
And she left. She's actually somewhere, someplace, I don't know where. Beautiful girl, nice girl.
Did you stay with him or get rid of him?
Oh, sure.
He wasn't good in any way.
From what she told me, he was macho man. So that's the story with that. And maybe we could, does that help you a little bit on what you're gonna go into the future? Ask me anything you wanna ask about. Like, I'll have this student transferred to you
Yeah.
if possible.
Okay.
And that you can start working with it in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And go from there, just get your cards ready and move on. But is
Mhm.
there any question in the technique itself?
No, just regress, get them to alpha and then just get them to go to where they feel the pain.
Yeah.
Is there any memory that comes up? What do you see, imagine, right? Is that?
Oh. You can start off with imagination, and then it turns into something real. Because something, if you follow course 5A, the 12th secret key, you'll see it right there and there. You're not creating the pictures. They're coming up, even in your imagination, are results of other things. Everything is on a chain.
Mm-hmm.
But you beat your face. I am a big deal because I create all this stuff. Well, you are, and soon, once you go through that threshold, you will be empowered to have quite a bit of power. The giver of life, the giver of power, the universal beingness will allow you a certain amount of power. Let's say you're running on 120 volts right now of power. The universal beingness is running on 10,120 volts. That isness might say, well, this is just figuratively, it might say, well, here's another 100 volts, I'll make you a little stronger, so you can decide a few more things, none of us, like it says here, nobody knows really for sure. But we know that something is good because it helps us.
Do you think that might be the same as vibrating at a different level? You know, what you're saying, volts,
Yeah,
if
of
you
course.
vibrate higher, you're going
Yeah,
higher.
of course. In fact, they use that term, higher vibrations.
Mhm.
It's a higher frequency. And I also believe if you don't eat meat, your vibrations go up. You operate on a higher frequency.
I'll have to try
Yeah,
that.
try it. It's good. You never have to worry about weight. Well, I mean, you don't anyway. But I find it one of the healthiest things I've ever done. But I didn't do it because of health or to get higher vibrations. I did it because I don't want to see animals killed. I don't like to see. When I think of how they kill animals in Madeira,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Oh,
Remember
it's
I
not
wrote an
pleasant.
article
Yeah.
on it?
Yeah, it's not
Really?
pleasant anywhere.
And they really don't want to die. And there's so much good stuff to eat. Some vegetables and all kinds of rices and all kinds of things. Which making me hungry right now.
So
Maybe
you
we're
do-
gonna end
do you-
off with
Do you do
the-
fish as well? I mean, you say fish is all,
Fish,
is okay.
fish I eat because fish, to begin with, is not difficult to digest.
Mhm.
It's almost like eating vegetables. It is almost part vegetable. That's what my father used to say. And he said that you kill the fish by drowning them, by taking them out of the water. And their nervous system is practically nil. They don't feel very much. There's a instinct of wanting to live. We asked a mystical master once in the lodge that I used to belong to. I said, Mr. So-and-so, what about these bugs that we step on, we kill and everything? He says, well, most bugs don't have nervous system, so feel nothing. There's only there's a instinct for survival,
Yeah.
but it's not that bad.
Pain.
Even fish I'm getting a little tired of.
Hmm.
So many other things you can eat. Maybe we could end with one or two of these. We ended off on number 36.
Yep. So 37 is, thus one should study this document many times. It is written in such a way as to make one think without being told what the secret is. It is in fact hidden in all the concepts. And I read it and reread it.
What is that?
Yeah.
What does it
36,
say?
37.
Yeah, so what do you
So
think
you
of that?
need, yeah, I've read it and reread it, and every time some of them hit you in a little bit different way,
Yeah.
absorbing it.
Let's take a look at the next one.
38, thus one should read slowly each statement, completing and writing the next sentence stems.
Okay,
This-
these two that are coming up.
Yeah, this is true because, this is true, not true because.
Right, ask
Now-
yourself those two
Mhm.
questions.
Now, do you do it true and not true? If it's true and what's not true about it? Or it's like,
To you.
yeah,
Read it, and if it sounds true, you say, this is true because I've seen it, I've observed it, yeah. This is not true to me at this moment because that's not the way I've seen it in operation. Then you're being perfectly honest with me.
so
And
you
you're-
can have a true and a not true at the same time. Or you may have just one is true and one is not. I mean, it may be true for you, maybe
That's
not
a
true.
good question. This is true because this is not true. Nothing can be both at the same time. It's either true or not true. You could have qualifications, right? This is true, however, it seems untrue that,
Mhm.
so you
Mhm.
need to be aware of all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Every little trick the mind does, you have to be aware of it.
Right.
Is that okay?
39? Move it to
All
39.
right.
There are two basic types of people. A, those who live life the way it has been lived for the past 2,000 years.
Uh-huh.
And B, those who discover that they are different and go beyond the humdrum of life, as in number A, and create their own world.
Okay, so number A is those who live life the way it has been lived for the past 2,000 years. And then those that are different have come from that gang, but now they see something, see? They discover they are different somehow and go beyond the humdrum of life. The humdrum as in A. And they start to create their own world. And then that's when they get in trouble, as we shall see. All right, now, number 40.
To be type, number B of 39 above, which is the ones that have decided to create their own world. Great courage, it takes great courage. They will experience great loneliness, but will never be able to go back to number A.
Those are the most sensitive, the more evolved. And they know, oh, I wish I could go back and do what everybody does. You just can't do it anymore.
Once you see the lies and you can't.
Yeah. Not only that, but you know that if you go back, you're not going to learn what you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get caught between the two, and that's when you're caught in the threshold. That's when the fears start coming up and stuff like that. But then again, if you look at them, even if it's just you later for 3 seconds, the fear comes up. Fear comes up right now. I'm talking to you, and the fear is, what if I just get carried away and kiss her? So you look at that. It's over. It only takes 1 second, 2 seconds. If you do that a little bit every day, you should be able to knock out a lot of these negative emotions.
41.
41.
Woe to them who get stuck in the middle of A and B. They need the help of those in B.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, it's just like you were saying, they're probably living in a lot of fear. They are, they're in limbo, really, because they can't go all the way back to A and be asleep anymore. And they're not gonna go forward and
Right.
do what they need to do, so they're gonna probably be worse off than anybody.
I know, I was there. For years in the same spot. I knew that I was different, but I was afraid. Well, my case was very bad.
Yeah, I think fear is it just stops us from so much, and you have to just, that's one of the biggest things we have to overcome.
There is a book that, when I was going through the transformation, it helped me a lot. It had nothing to do with metaphysics, but she was good. She's an Australian doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote about, what's her name? Dr. Weekes.
Mm-hmm.
Weekes. W-E-E-K-E-S. An Australian lady. I remember reading it, and all of a sudden I read this. When you have a fear, you really have two fears.
Mm-hmm. So what would those?
The first one is the one that's real. You're afraid of mice.
Mm-hmm.
Now the big fear, the one you fear the most, is what you imagine could happen if you touch one of those creatures. So you're terrified. Well, the fear itself is not too difficult to cure with EFT, for example.
Right.
I had a student here once, she was terrified of cats. And we worked for a while with it, but then I never saw her again. For some reason they went out of the country, and I never found out if she was afraid or not of cats.
Huh. Well,
So-
they say fear is the opposite of fear is love.
You know what?
So the opposite of fear is love. So if you're in fear, you're out of love.
Out of love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that doesn't mean I have to love the mice.
No. But what I mean is you're not living in the state of love, appreciation. You're in fear, which is keeping you from being where you need to be.
Right.
You're, well,
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. I lift my brow a little bit to that because they use that word love to, oh, love. Hey, I am not obliged to not step on the little bug because it's a creature of God. I mean, I love the little creature. In fact, I've talked to them, to the mosquitoes. Did I tell you that story?
I don't believe so.
In New Jersey, Palisades Park. I was
No.
performing over there. I was there performing with the Perry Borelli Band from Providence, Rhode Island. And I was a kid. I was 19, 20, I don't know. 20. And we played every afternoon for this guy that dived, is it dove or dived?
Dove. Yeah.
Dove from a very, very high place. You'd have to go like this, you couldn't see the music. And he dived into this kettle that was no bigger than this small room. And I spoke with this guy in person in the afternoon, and he was always drunk every afternoon. And what were we trying to do? Oh, the mosquitoes. So when we got there, I didn't have enough money like when we were young. We didn't think about these things in advance. I didn't have money to get a hotel, or there weren't any there anyway. So me, the singer, the girl singer, and the trombone player, we slept in the car, in his car. And I was being eaten by the mosquitoes. I mean, a lot of them, eaten. So I would not close all the windows. I had to have air.
It's hot, yes.
And I was being eaten, and I had this. I went into the Alpha State, and I said to the mosquitoes, "Look, guys, I know you have to have blood to eat, and I suggest you do the same thing. In fact, when you want to ask forgiveness of someone, it's very healthy. Talk like this. Talk to the person. Visualize the person and talk to the person." And he says, "I know you have to have blood, but I also have to live. So, we're going to make a contract here, an agreement. I don't bite, you don't bite me, and I don't try to kill you. Go there, there are other things that you can bite, eat, other things you eat. But I understand you have, why you're doing this. To this day, they do not bite me. People go in my backyard, sometimes there's water there, and they say, they're always going like this. Sometimes in here too. I didn't take this seriously at first.
Huh.
But all these years, and they never bothered me. Either that or poison in my blood.
Let's hope it's not that one.
So, those are number 41, go ahead.
Are the unfortunate, the downtrodden, the innocent who have been made guilty by type A simply because they are somewhat different. They took a step into the type B world, but they do not know it. So in between.
Yeah.
And the 43 is the secret is mainly directed at type B.
Right.
44, I know I exist because I am able to say, I am.
And we're going to finish there. Because I got it figured out so that each lesson on video should be about no more than an hour. I know I exist because I am able to say I am. So if I don't exist, I don't have that ability. The cat doesn't have that ability to say I am. It has some abilities. He knows, he talks to me. He knows about me. He knows the time I get up, all of this, and he comes here and he keeps me company all night and day sometimes. He waits till I'm ready to leave, and then I feed him, and then he goes out. So thank you for this lovely class, and so think about these things, and we'll go from here. So start getting students right away.
Okay.
Okay, sweetheart.